Hey everyone, welcome to day 2 of the 5 Days of Drawing Faces workshop. This is a video series for anyone who's interested in learning to draw faces, becoming better at drawing faces, and just basically gaining confidence when it comes to your drawing skills. Yesterday was the intro. Today we're going to be doing some activities on, and practicing drawing faces. So I'm going to share that with you. Before we get started, I did want to mention, as I will be mentioning, one of the best ways to support my channel is through a series. I wrote a series of ebooks on how to draw faces, as well as sketches and that kind of thing on my website. I will share a link to that. I have a drawing faces workbook and also drawing whimsical faces. Both are very similar. The drawing faces workbook would be the one I recommend starting with, as it walks you through the entire process of drawing whimsical faces. There's activities in all of them where you finish different features. So I'll draw a face for you and you'll finish like the nose, or I'll draw a face for you and you fill in the entire face. It's just a fun way to practice drawing faces without fear. I also show you how to draw the features, and I have in the book, this is the drawing faces one. This is where you practice drawing the mouth, but I also have, a guide. It's hand drawn by me. All of them are hand drawn by me, but this is my favorite one. And there's faces for you to color and practice drawing or tracing. So that's going to be available in the descriptions, as well as the how to draw whimsical faces and sketches. But we are going to jump into it now. I also wanted to mention I have a Facebook group called Creative Flow with Krista Irene, and you can find the link to that on my Facebook page called Krista Irene Art, and that's where a lot of people are going and sharing their artwork, and there is some amazing and beautiful artwork being shared in there, like the drawings that people are doing along with my videos. That's the purpose of the group. It's to share the artwork that you're doing along with these videos. So if you have a chance to head over there, you can join the group and see just how amazing the art is. And it's so much fun to see people sharing and joining along on this drawing journey. Okay, so today is day 2. We are going to practice loosening up. All you need for this is a pencil. You can have colored pencils if you want, and maybe a little bit of water, because pencils are water soluble. And we're going to practice maybe a little bit of shading, but it's all about loosening up your drawing and also getting out of that perfection mode when it comes to drawing. I think what I talked about yesterday, and the reason why I'm doing this is because there's way too much perfection out there. There's way too much everybody trying to draw the same way. The goal of this series, this tutorial series or workshop series, is to get everyone out of their comfort zone, including me, for us to get out of our comfort zone and into our own selves and let that come out onto the paper, so that we're discovering our own art style, but also embracing the fact that our art and drawings are unique to ourselves. And one of the things I said yesterday is everybody's art is as unique as the person that they are. And so instead of us all trying to draw the same, we're going to try to draw our own way, but I'm going to walk you through some ideas and practices that can help pull that out of you, so that you're drawing freely, confidently, and create art that's true to yourself. So I am going to flip the camera over and we are going to get started, and I hope you join me. Before we jump into the drawing exercise, and I do have a cat here, she's going to be walking through because that's what they love to do when I record. One of the things I wanted to mention, how important it is to look at books. This is one of my all-time favorite books when it comes to drawing people and drawing faces, looking at how people drew in the past versus going online on social media and seeing what people are doing. I just find when you look in the past, you can find a lot of really unique art that's not trying to be perfect. So this one is called Fashion Drawing in Vogue. And if you follow my channel, you know I love this book. This is called Fashion Drawing in Vogue, and it goes through history and showing you amazing artwork throughout history. But one of the things I want to point out is the loose drawing And again, I mentioned yesterday the imperfect, like it's not realism, the proportions aren't perfect, but this is the kind of thing that just I personally want to capture, like this line work, the freedom. How easy does this look? But have you ever tried to draw this? So challenging. Let's see. Here's another face. Hopefully you can see that. And figure. The other thing I like is how you can, and we're going to practice this, how you can draw faces without including everything in the face. So all you're seeing here are the eyes, the lips, and the nose. And they're just simple gestural lines, which is so much more challenging to do than it actually looks. Let's see if we can find any more. There's a few of my favorites here that I really, really love. These gestural lines. Now these aren't faces, but you can see it's just like, it's simple. It's like a simplicity. Again, here's another one where you can kind of see it's just some line work to indicate the eyes, nose, and mouth. There's nothing, there's not a lot of detail. So sometimes less detail, our eyes fill in the rest, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Here's another one. Not, you know, her chin's not filled in. You don't see the side of her face. Her lips kind of blend in with her neck, but this is beautiful. It's stunning. And we have to let go of trying to always be perfect when it comes to drawing. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to just show you what I mean, and we're going to practice some drawing exercises. This is a face that I did a couple weeks ago, and I used tin foil from Butter, like Butter packaging. This is where I used food packaging, and I think this was done with food coloring. That was a whole video. I'll include the link to this as well in the description of the video. So you'll find my playlist for the 5 days of drawing faces and some other things. This was so much fun to do. But I wanted to show you what I mean about you don't even have to fill in a face. This is a painting that I did, I don't know, last year. And I didn't even fill in this lady's face. I filled in the horse's face, but not the woman. But you still know that it's a face, and you still know that it's a woman, and you could still see what this image is. It's a little abstracted, but an example of drawing a face or painting a face, and you don't need to fill it all in. I am going to go through a couple of other things that I've done because sometimes I forget to look back at my artwork. And I think it's important to save your artwork because not only do you see how far you've come, but you can also be re-inspired by your old artwork. So this is one that I did, and it's absolutely one of my favorites, and I want to get back to this kind of art. Let's see if you could see the whole thing. This is a painting I did years ago, and obviously that teal color and this blue color is my favorite. Let's see, maybe I'll take this off the thing so we could give you a close-up of it. Sorry, editing is not my forte. But this is done with acrylic paint, and it's totally imperfect. And that's the point. It's not supposed to be perfect. It's supposed to be just playing around, like her nose isn't perfect. But sometimes when you look at it overall, you can fall in love with art without it having to be perfect and without it having to be realism. And that's what we're going to practice today. We'll probably do a video on side profiles as well, but today is just the front facing profile. A couple of other things I wanted to show you. Let me go over here. Are some paintings that I did recently, and they're probably going to be on my website soon. But here are some more faces where I've just been playing around with shadow and light and color. None of them are perfect, but super fun to play around with. And these are small canvases because sometimes small canvases are a great way to play around. Small sketchbooks as well. Today we're working in a sketchbook. Just going to give you a quick sneak peek at these. This one's got to be adjusted a bit, but these will be up on my website eventually. This was a series of playing with colors and gold. The pink color and gold, I've been just really enjoying this. I'll probably end up doing a series on these collage faces as well. It's so much fun. Somebody has asked me about my cat paintings. They're not yet for sale. I still have some to work on, so the cat paintings aren't up for sale and probably won't be for a little while. I'm going to jump in now and do some practice exercises on drawing loosely and freely with faces. For this video series, you can use any paper you want. I'm using a giant Moleskine sketchbook, or Moleskine, I'm not sure how to say it, because it's just easier for the video recording. But if you watched my series of tiny sketchbook art, you know that you can use like teeny tiny sketchbook and practice your art in that, which I've done here. I have these Talens Art Creative sketchbooks. These are wonderful for drawing, sketching. You can add water. They work really well with any art medium, but you can use these. These are tiny. And the other thing, like, you can just use any kind of paper. You can use Post-it notes. So no worries about the kind of paper that you're using. This is an activity that anyone can do and join along. I'm going to give a quick overview of drawing faces, and then we're going to practice. So you can draw just an oval shaped. This is, or an egg shape, right, for the head. That's all it is an egg shape for the head. The next thing we want to do is draw like a line all the way down past this head, because this is where the neck is going to be. And then we're going to divide each one of these again, draw a line going down here and here. So the first thing I did was divide the face in half and extend it past, because we see one side of the face and the other. Then I took this half and divided it in half, because that's where the eyes are going to go. The next thing we're going to do is come just in the center and draw another line, and then we're going to map in where the eyes and nose is going to go. So when it comes to the eyes, where we divided these lines right here, we're going to draw a circle or a dot, because that's going to be the eye. And then, okay, we divided this face in half. We have the top and the bottom. This bottom half, we're going to just divide it in half again, but just with a little line. And that's where the mouth is going to go. You can kind of see it's starting to look like a face. The nose can go anywhere in between here. I'll just go up a bit and draw like almost like a triangle for the nose, or a circle. You're just sort of shading it in. We're just getting the feel of what this face is going to look like. Now, when it comes to the eyes, the first thing we're going to do is just draw a curve on top of that eyeball, the circle, okay? And now you see it's starting to come to life. You could see that we drew a line on top of that circle that we drew for the eyes. The mouth you can draw, actually sometimes I just like to draw like a little oval around it. And you could see it's starting to look like a mouth. You can draw those little divots if you want. And now it's really starting to come together. The nose you can leave as a line, but you can do all sorts of things. I like to just draw like a little curve for the nose, and I like to thicken up that top part of the eyelid to indicate eyelashes. This is just that beginning part of drawing a face. You can see right there how it looks. When it comes to the neck, you can either draw, like you can come in where the corners of the eye are, or however, and just draw a little line. You don't need to worry about perfection when it comes to the neck. Just, there you go. We've got the neck in, we've got the face in. Your faces don't need to be perfect. This is just the beginning. Above this eyelid is the eyebrow. You can draw the eyebrow in any shape you want. I'm just going to do a light touch here. And you can also draw the bottom part of the eye if you want. I don't normally do that. The other thing you can do is draw the eyelid. These are all options. I'm drawing the eyelid. And now my face is really, hopefully you can see this, really coming together. Now, if you have an eraser, you can do all sorts of things, but I don't use an eraser. I'm going to map in her hair now. Her hair is almost already mapped in at the top, but I could just draw a little like a little upside down U shape and put in her hair like that. You could bring her hair down straight, and now your face is really coming together. I'm going to draw a little, there we go. Now I'm going to play with her and sort of try to make this, it's all about playing, right? I'm kind of liking the way she's looking. Once you've done this so many times, you don't even have to measure it out anymore. I'm putting a little shadow underneath her bottom lip, a little shadow there. And I'm going to draw that little circle or oval underneath the nose and the lips, that Cupid's bow. There's going to be that little circle there. I could bring the front part of the eyes down a bit as it goes towards the nose. Some people like to do that and then draw the nose, but I'm going to leave it. And I'm liking the way this lady's face looks so far. You can play around with the hair, but let's try another face and I'll walk you through it again. Let's go on this side. I think my camera's kind of being funny. Okay, let's go on this side. Again, you're going to take your pencil. I personally like to draw loosely, but here's another way. You're going to draw a circle, and then you're going to make it into an oval. I draw a circle and then an oval, and that way you have that egg shape for the face. I can draw 2 lines coming down for the neck, and then I have my face and my neck mapped out. I like to divide it in half both ways. And you can kind of see where we're going here. Then I drew a circle for this one, but you can just draw like the top curved part for the top of the eye. And I like to just draw little dots for the eyeballs, right? And then I like to just draw above it, I draw a a curvy shape for the eyebrows. And do you see where I drew this circle? That's where the nose is going to go. I drew it kind of really loosely, so there's like a couple of options here, but I could just draw like a little curved shape for the nose once again. And you can still see this face coming to life. And then what I like to do is either draw another circle and draw it in half, because that's where the lips are. So I drew a circle and a line through it, and now you can see it looks like lips. Once you have this in here, a lot of times people say like the eyes are equal lengths apart. So this eye would be, where I have it drawn here, it should be equal distance apart, the eyeballs, so that they're, it's like the third eye really right in that in-between spot. And a lot of people say the side of the head should also be the same size. I never do that, but you can if you want. I'm not into perfection. Every face shape is different, so you can alter this however you want, but that's overall the way to draw that front-facing shape. And also you can just draw an upside down U right over the whole shape to create this lady's hair. Her ears would be where that corner of the eye to the bottom of the nose, if you want to draw her ears. But I don't always do that. You can just draw earrings, you can draw some lines, and you're really bringing this lady's face to life. Okay, those are 2 faces. Let's go into a side view. Might have to go a couple of pages. When it comes to drawing faces, there's 2 ways that I like to do it. You can either do it sort of a measuring way, where you draw a circle for that top of the head, and then I like to say you draw a U shape underneath it. Okay, I'm breaking it down to the basics. So now we've got that oval shape. If you take that circle that you drew, and maybe I'll use a different color marker. Let's see. let's try blue. If you take that circle here and you divided it in half, okay, and then you divided it in half again, and then you marked this bottom line here for the nose, and see this bottom part where that U shape came in and you divided that in half, that's the mouth. Okay, so you've already mapped in your nose, mapped in your mouth. Now, if you really want to get into measuring the eyes, the next thing you can do is just go like the eyes can go anywhere along this line, okay? But you want them to be equal distance apart. So I'm going to draw the eyes below this line just because I can tell that it will look better. So the line is divided here, and you've got this sort of quadrant, right? What I'm going to do here is just draw an oval. And on the other side, I'm going to draw an oval. Now I'm just I'm not measuring things with a ruler or anything. I'm just giving an idea of where the features go. Inside the oval, you can draw a circle. And you're kind of seeing it come together. The neck would come down where the eyes are. So see where the eye is? If I just draw a line here. This is not about perfection, remember. This is just about having fun drawing faces. So you see what I did there with the eyes? There we go. We've mapped in the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. The ears are going to come the corner of this eye here and the nose, the corner of the eye and the nose. Now we know where this ear goes. Again, I really want to stress, you don't have to get a ruler out. You don't have to be so mindful about measuring. This is really just for you to get used to drawing faces and map out the features. Now I'm going to use a black marker on top of this so you can see how this will go together. Hopefully this marker works. I don't typically measure things out because I've done this so many times I don't have to do it anymore. But what I can do now is bring it all together. And you're going to see it's going to look like a face. I think I'll use my acrylic marker so you can see it better. I don't always draw the bottom part of the eye, but I like to do a heavy eyelid. And then I'll do the eyebrow where that line was. I think it's important to note that the forehead is really, I personally always get the forehead too small. It's really kind of bigger than that. I'll do another U shape, right? I'll do another U shape. And now we can kind of see this face coming together. And I'm just trying to show you how to draw a face if you're not comfortable with it. I'm going to show you another way in a moment. And then we're going to jump into the rest of this workshop. And sometimes I'll just draw a line to make my face look like a face. Now, if you use pencil, you could erase all that pencil, but I never use pencil. The other thing that I like to do then is, hold on, let's get this marker working. You could then draw like another U shape if you want. And that's her hair. And you could play around with that however you want. This is a basic face. You can draw a line for this lip and then fill it in. Here, I'll fill in her lip. You could draw the lip however you want. Sometimes I just break it down into an oval. But there's the lady's face. That's how I map it out, and I will show you quickly how that works when it comes to just drawing a face. If you want to take this and draw an actual face, let's do that right now. As you can see, I use the principles from that drawing that I just did where I measure out the face Once you become accustomed to doing this and you become really used to doing this, you can quickly and easily map out a face without too much thinking because you know where those features fall. I would say that some people tell me, well, lots of people, well, I would say that once in a while I do hear from people saying that, okay, the eyes are even distance apart here, right? So this is, let's see if I could properly measure this with my pencil. So this is the size of the eye. It should be equal distance apart, meaning this part here, right, should be the same size as the eyes because that way it just looks even. It's equal distance apart. Now the side of the head should also be equal distance apart if you're trying to do perfect drawing, which we aren't. I like the way my faces look without having to have all that extra space on the side of the head. It doesn't matter to me. The nose, again, you can do, like I'll show in my book, all the different ways you can do a nose, but literally just a little line works well. Then you can color it in or you can leave it as it is. We might get into coloring it in later, but I'm going to continue on. That was the first way to measure drawing a face. And then there's another activity that I really enjoy doing when it comes to drawing faces, and we are going to do that. And then we're going to move on to some activities to practice loosening up our faces. One of the things that I really enjoy doing, if I'm just quickly sketching faces, is I like to draw a whole bunch of ovals. And they don't have to be perfect. I just draw them, usually I draw 5. Let's do 5. Now I've got some wonky ovals here, but it's a great way for you to practice drawing your faces. Instead of doing the typical, what I showed you earlier, which was you draw a circle and then a U-shaped under the circle, a U-shape under the circle, that's the oval, okay? If you're really wanting to, I don't know, have like that perfectly oval shape, even though that's not perfect, it's just a different way of doing it. If you want to try to loosen up, you can try it this way, okay? So there's no wrong way to do this. You're just doing whatever you want because you're discovering your own art style. This is just a fun way to practice. So that was the first way, where you divide it like this, and you can draw the eyes, the nose, and sometimes I'll just do a circle for the mouth, right? There we go. Boom, done. With this one, you can also draw a line if you want. I mean, sometimes you can draw a line indicating which direction the person, like if the face is slightly tilted, right? That's what I'm going to do here. You can see me drawing a curved line or a straight line. And then almost in half, maybe just above, I've divided this face so I know where they're looking. And what I'm going to do now is draw a circle for the eye, just on this line. Hopefully you can see this. This camera sometimes it just zooms in on my hand. So I drew the eyes in, and again, I'm just going to map in a line for the nose. And even if the nose is off, it really doesn't matter, because that's the whole point of drawing fun, whimsical faces. And then if I want to draw lips, and I'll do it in the red marker, sometimes I will draw, like if you see here, it's just an oval. If you're really new to drawing faces, this is really the best way to do it, because you could see this sort of face coming to life, and you could play around with the lips after and all the features after. The next thing I like to do is maybe draw the top of the eyes, which you see here is a simple curved line. That's all it is, with a dot in it, okay? And that's what I'm going to do here. The eyebrows help bring it together. And the eyebrows can help shape like what emotion this person's having. You could do like high eyebrows. And really the whole point is to loosen up with your drawing and not worry too much about perfection. And see the side part here? This is where her hair is going to be. You can draw flowers. Sometimes drawing different elements like flowers or leaves in the hair, or even maybe this lady has a hat on. Just don't be afraid to experiment. The whole part of learning is making a mess and understanding that imperfections are going to happen when you first practice. It's normal. None of these are going to look perfect. I'm doing in like, 2 minutes, but I know. And maybe what I'll do is after I'll play with these and bring them to life and show you what it looks like at the end. I kind of like this lady. She looks like she's looking off into the distance. I'd have to fix her eyes, but I think what I'll do is put an ear there. And we'll let her hair be a little wild. Her ear's a little off, so I'll just, and this lady too, we'll give her some hair. And I'll put a bun in this lady's hair. See, loose lines can really help bring your faces together. And you have to accept your mistakes and accept that some of your faces are going to look wonky or weird, and that's okay. So what I'm going to do now is quickly color these in so you could see, even though these are completely imperfect, I want you to hold on to the fact that once you color these in or add a little bit of color, they just take on a character of their own. This is the final drawing, and you can still see the lines on these faces, and none of them are perfect. They're all a little wonky and strange, but overall it works. And I think the key is to really, you have to practice and play and try different art supplies. If you notice, I brought in colors. So one of the secrets is, even if these faces, if you look at any one of them separately, there's something wrong with all of them. However, I brought in some green and connected all the artwork. I brought in pink for every single lady's cheek. I brought in red for their lips, and I added the same kinds of highlights, like some of them have white on the top of their eyelids, a little gray. I tried to bring it all together. Additionally, if you make mistakes, you have to keep going to see if you can make it work. I mean, you can abandon it for a while, but come back to it and see what you can do. The other thing to note is, if all else fails, please add sparkle. You can't go wrong with a little bit of sparkle glue on the ladies as jewelry or accessories. Like this lady has a crown, earrings. I added a little red on that lady's flowers. But as you continue to practice and do this exercise with the ovals, you can just play around with not only different angles where the ladies are looking, but different noses. Like she has like a little nose that comes down. I did a different nose for this lady, and you could see, and this lady, 1, 2, 3, and then these ladies just had a little dash for their nose. So it is really important to play around not only with the features, but bringing things together. And how do I say this? I don't want to say covering your mistakes, because that's not the point of this, but making your mistakes part of the entire journey and part of the entire artwork. It's what makes your art unique and stand out, is that quirkiness and your own line work and color choices and sparkle choices. What else did I do here? Oh, I added all sorts of different art supplies on here. So there's ink, gouache, acrylic paint, sparkle glue, really playing around with trying to make these faces work. The next activity we're going to work on is shading. So we've practiced drawing the faces. The next activity we're going to work on is shading. If you notice, I drew this face with a pencil and then added a little bit of water to create the shading. So I'm going to walk you through that. What I did was keep her face not colored in or painted in, but focused on maybe adding some colors, blocks of color, like 2 blocks of color around her. And sometimes that's really fun activity to do when you're practicing drawing faces. So we're going to do that. Here's another one I did. I did these yesterday, and yesterday I spent a lot of time practicing my sketching. And you can see I did abandon some stuff, but that's what your sketchbook is for. You're just practicing. I wonder what else. I know I did a lot. I did a lot yesterday. Sometimes it's nice to get a journal page like this, like just sometimes it's nice to get like a scribbler or a writing journal, and you can just practice page after page after page. Okay, so that's what we're going to practice right now, and I'm going to show you how to do that. The other thing about having a scribbler is those lines in the back kind of add to the overall look of the drawing, so I kind of really like that. So this is just my, practice sketchbook. Okay, hopefully you're going to be able to see this. I'll use this pencil, and we're going to draw a face. Again, I just showed you, okay, we're going to draw a face based on what we just did in our practice session. I'm doing that oval. If you notice, I'm holding my pen really loosely. I'm not gripping it down here. I'm holding it at the end. For me, that just helps. Okay, so I mapped in my face, and now I'm going to use a little bit of water to add the shadows to this lady. I just have to grab, here we go. So all you need to do is just get a touch of water and play around with the shading. When it comes to shading faces, I like to do one side and keep the other one sort of minimal. So I think I'll do this side where I feel like the shading will be there. Now you can get, watercolor pencils or graphite pencils. You could use a regular pencil. I'm using a, let's see, this is a Stabilo, I think it's a Stabilo All pencil. It's a watercolor pencil. And now I'm just going to get her hair in. But this is a quick way to draw faces and practice drawing faces and getting the shading in. So those are supposed to be her bangs. And I'll go over it again with more pencil. More pencil after this dries. But let's see if I can just... I'm just taking whatever's left over on my paintbrush and going in there. Maybe bringing her eyebrows in a bit. A lot of times there's shadow in the corner of the eye. There's shadow underneath the bottom lip and shadow on the cheek. A lot of times there's shadow on the forehead too. So I'm just kind of keeping that like that and wait for it to dry. And then I could add some additional pencil or ink on top of it and then do the color blocking. And you could see how this will come to life. Maybe I'll do the color blocking while this dries to show you what I mean. So for color blocking, I'm using Stabilo Woody Color Pencils. That's what they are. I don't like it when it makes a noise. And I just like to go right over it. Now this is water soluble too. I'm tempted to add cheek color to her, but for the sake of this activity, I'm not going to. We're color blocking today. And then a little bit of this orange color. Sometimes it's fun to pick colors, you know, these are such complementary colors, like that pink and orange. I'm gonna keep this lady just gray. And now I can add some, these are Neocolor 2s, and you can add some water to this as well to bring it together. And I might do that, we'll see. You can even just actually, you know what, you can use crayons. You don't even need to use fancy art supplies. Like, especially for that color blocking, you could just use crayons. I don't know if I have that orangey color. Okay, we've got her sort of color blocked in. I'm not sure I want to add water, but I might. Let's see. This paper is not meant for a lot of water. This is just a fun exercise. It's all about play. That is what this whole Drawing Faces workshop is for. It's for playing and becoming comfortable with creating faces that aren't perfect, and to embrace our own style and discover our own style. Okay. Okay, I'm going to leave that the way it is, and I think this is dry. And now I'm going to make adjustments and bring this to life. This is the final drawing. One thing I do want to say about this activity, and once you draw this, it's almost like a black and white face with the color blocking. You can add shapes in it if you want. You could add stripes or circles. You know, if you feel like you want to add something to it. I almost feel like drawing little circles. I'm not sure why, but I'm really into patterns, so I kind of like little circles. But you can play around with it. It's all about exploring and seeing what you like. Now I'd probably, if I wanted to go further with this, add like darker pink to these circles, add a white here, but for the sake of this color blocking activity, I'm going to leave it at this. And I just like the way that the bright cherry color looks with the black and white face in the back. Okay, we have one more activity, and we're gonna get on that. Final activity that we're going to do today in our quest to draw faces loosely and freely and fearlessly is not drawing the full face. We are going to practice, and I'm using ink because it's easier for you to see, but something similar to this. Okay, this book that I showed you, you can't see the lines of her face. You see the eyes and the mouth. And we saw that a few times here. Here we go. With this one, I want to try something like this. Now this, we're just going to play around and see what happens with drawing faces, but not the whole face. Okay, let's see what we can do. Okay, I have my ink. And I'm just going to try for sort of a side profile, which can be challenging. But again, we're not drawing all the features. So we're going to draw the forehead here and then almost like a triangle and their eyebrow there. So you can see that's the eye. Maybe I need to come down a bit. There we go. Hopefully the camera will zoom in on that. Okay, so we've got the eye there, and I'm just going to draw like a nose. This is again not perfection. Okay, so we've got a line for the forehead. We did the backwards triangle for the eye, and then like just a little triangle for the nose. And this is going to be a side heart, okay? This is the side heart. And I'm manipulating it a little bit to make that look like lips. I am not even going to draw the chin. I'm going in for the neck and drawing like a fancy collar with some loose lines. And sometimes, okay, I'm going to do circle for the earrings. And let's see if we can get that hair in there. I'm not sure. Let's see. I'm going to do... Sometimes for me, wobbly lines are the best. And maybe I got to fix this lip a little bit. I don't know. Maybe I'll make it a little bit. There. Maybe. Okay. So it's not a full, like I tried to make it so that I'm not drawing every part of the feature. Let's try this again with front face. Side profiles can be really hard. We're going to spend some time on that this week as well. That's one of the activities that we're going to do because it is such a challenge. Okay, for this one, I am going to just draw, let's see. A nose, that's an eye, an eyebrow, and a mouth. And maybe what I'll do here is make this woman's hair come around. I'm not even sure I want to draw her chin because I feel like I'll draw like, and then I'll draw some flowers. Just remember, if you keep it loose and let go, it comes easier than if you try too hard. And trust me, sometimes I really do try too hard. But I like how that lady looks. Okay, let's see if we can do something else that's just a partial face, not the full face. And I will find the video that I did the other day and share it because I did keep it. Maybe I'll show you what I mean, where we can just draw. You don't even have to draw the face. Like, let's do this. This is a simple one. Okay, I'm just drawing the upside. It's almost like an upside down U. I don't draw the full oval anymore because I know the forehead's up here. So let's do this. Let's do, this lady has a hat on. And I'll draw like a little ribbon for her hat. And what we will do is just draw, remember, I could just do an oval, right? Look, that's an oval to the side. And then you could add like the lip. Sorry, my dog is going to bark. And then the nose. And I'll draw. What I'll do is bring this hat down a little bit more so it totally covers her face. And now it looks like I just drew something without drawing the whole face. It's almost like a little fashionable artwork there. But that's what those look like. That activity is a lot of fun. I would say that one's probably a little bit harder to do. You really have to practice where the features go. But I think maybe if you did something like this might be way easier. You just do like a U shape, add a lip, add a hat, and then you've created something that looks like a face. But I'm really having fun, and it's been years that I am trying. I'm sorry, I don't want to have to edit too much when I'm doing this video. So I'm going to lift the camera up. My goal is to, honestly, in my own style, have that loose, vibrant, like these loose lines creating these types of drawings here. This is my personal goal. I love the way these look. Even her hands, like you can see this lady's hands are off. Like that hand is too small for her face, but it really doesn't matter because these really gorgeous loose lines and ink work, those eyes are fabulous. Look, the nose are just two circles. Such a fun way to draw. I think this is what I was kind of going for, maybe something like that. Okay, so we had quite a few activities today on day 2 of loosening up and drawing faces and discovering our own style and sort of breaking free from the expectations that we have put on ourselves when we look outward. So this is us looking inward and playing with these different exercises to learn how to draw faces. I hope that day 2 was helpful. Leave a comment below and let me know. I will leave a link to my books in the description, as well as the playlist for some of my videos, including the mini sketchbook challenge. And I'll probably include the playlist for this because I created that so you could quickly find all the different days as they come up. The other thing I wanted to note was I am aiming to draw every day and do a video every day. I know this is a 5-day challenge, but you know, sometimes life gets in the way. Hopefully we will see you tomorrow for day 3. If not, it will be the next day. I hope you all have a wonderful day and happy sketching.